Welcome to another edition of Nature's Glory Cabin Off-Road Edition. We're back in the Backcountry Byway again. Today we're riding with the Ohio River four-wheelers. We did 4 trails on this day. The first one here in part 1 will be 2 trails, and they will be Leeco, Fixer-Leeco, and Hell Creek. There's the logo for the club, and here's the map coming up. It has all 4 on this map. We're going to be doing Leeco, Fixer-Leeco, and Hell Creek in this one. We start off today in the Slade area, rest area, and we're going to pull out here on Highway 11 going south. And we're going to run along here for a while. We're going to cut most of this out. And we're going to make a right up here. Onto 1036. This is past 715 if you know where you're at. 715 was on the left back there. We're going to come up through here, and after a total of about 10.5 miles from the rest area, we veer left onto Leeco Road. If you use your GPS, it's going to call it Leeco Road on this end. At some point in the middle, it turns into Fixer-Leeco. I sped a lot of this up. I put most of this one on here since I haven't actually done a Leeco, Fixer-Leeco video yet. So most of this trail is intact. It's sped up, and there was a whole lot of us today, so it took us a while. I did a little something different with this one. I've got some rear view that's going to pop up here and there, and is going to show us a little different angle. This is a pretty easy ride. It's got a few little ruts, nothing that you can't do on a stock vehicle. This was considered a mild ride, and if you'll notice, there's a few little drops here, nothing big. Wasn't a lot of mud today, so we had a really good ride. And we're zipping along through here. If you notice, most of it, there's a rear view I was talking about that I included. Nice smooth gravel road for the most part, a few ruts. Still got to be aware of weather conditions because it rains a lot. These ruts could get worse. I think these first 2 trails we did took us about 2 hours total. I got this all condensed down into about 20 minutes. I'd like to know what you think of the picture-to-picture stuff and the other things I do. Put that in the comments if you don't mind. If you like my stuff, I'd like to see you come back. I do a lot in the byway. That's my area. That's where our rental cabin is that we allow to be rented when we're not using it, and we use it a lot. That's why the channel is Nature's Glory Cabin. That's the name of it. There's probably 30 in this group, maybe more. When you're in a group this size, it does take longer. Don't forget your etiquette. Don't lose the person in front of you or behind you. Some people are at varying levels of skill, and sometimes may need a little help. Again, it was a beautiful day. This was March the 11th, 2023. Again, you can see how smooth for the most part it is. Just a little bump here and there. We do have one little spot coming up that it actually has a bypass, and some people may opt to take the bypass if they like. Most everyone went ahead and went down the obstacle. It wasn't very bad. It had a couple of relatively small drops, 8 or 10 inches, and it was all dirt. Depending on the length of your vehicle, I believe the Gladiator in front of me, rear hitch caught something at one point and they took it out later. A lot of times you go over these, just make sure you go slow enough and ease over them, and don't let that suspension travel bang, and you won't hit anything as hard. Again, notice we're veering left here at this little area. There is private property on both sides like usual in the byway. And here's the little obstacle. Notice the person that is spotting. That's the bypass. You can go up there and avoid the ruts here. Now we're going to go through this video the way we're seeing it now, and after we go through it, I will show a clip of just from the rear of the vehicle coming from behind. It's not that bad. And it's not real wet today, so things aren't very slick. We'll make this little water crossing here, and I believe the rear view is going to pop up. And we'll watch the Jeep behind us come down that obstacle. Any second now. Okay, there it is. See the little drop right there in the dirt. I sped that up. This is not real time. We went actually slower than this. We probably weren't going 2 or 3 miles an hour over it. So don't take these speeds into consideration. You don't want to do that probably. And we're going to switch back here and go back to the front and head on down the trail. Eventually. There we go. We'll take them off, still with the rear view. Hurry up and wait, hurry up and wait. Big crowds, big groups. Things tend to move a little slower than you might like. But it's all in the interest of making sure everybody can do it safely. It's a good community. Everybody watches out for each other. Okay, now we're going to move on. Again, this is the full trail because I wanted to show the full trail. Some of these other trails that I'll do, since I've already done the full trail, I'll probably cut a lot of this stuff out unless something interesting is going on. The first time, for sure, or when weather systems change, I want to do the full one so you can see what it looks like and judge for yourself whether you want to go back and do it. This looks like one you could probably do yourself as long as you're comfortable with your rig. This looks like, I don't know, 1.5, maybe 2 on this day anyway. The water's not very deep, the mud's not very bad. There is one spot the water's a little deeper than the others. It might be 8 or 10 inches deep. Along through here, it looks like. And back out of the water and back on the trail. There at one time was a real bad spot in this trail. It's been fixed since. It was called Bronco Killer Lake. I'm assuming that Broncos got themselves hurt in it. There were many vehicles that got in it and couldn't get out. You wouldn't even know it was there, except there's a sign now. And when we get there, we'll point that out. So it's all been fixed now. But again, you got to watch out for changing conditions. If you haven't been on this in a while, the summers are fairly well traveled. People know all about them. But when you let them go and you haven't been on them in a while, or there's been storms, things can happen. And if no one else has been on it to tell you about it, you might be surprised. Again, if you notice, this one is one that looks pretty easy. If you had to, you could turn around and go back. It's not in an area where you can't actually turn around. Area is littered with little oil derricks. Some of them are still in operation. This water looks like it's got a little depth to it here. It's not too bad. Stock vehicle can still do it. I don't mean a crossover, I mean a stock actual four-wheel drive. Jeep, Bronco, something like that. Need a little bit of clearance. Doesn't have to be high clearance, but it needs a little bit more than your everyday car. There are still the random rocks that stick up here and there that you'll need to watch out for. Again, I've got this sped up pretty good, so take into consideration. And water's a little bit deeper there, it looked like, and that vehicle went through it. Looks like 8 or 10 inches. I've got 33-inch tires, so halfway up them would be about 16 or so. I haven't really lost the guy behind me. Kind of in this picture, it looks like I might have. There's the sign. Note on the tree above, it's to the right here. We're going slow-mo. It's just going to be just under the picture on the right. If you can see that, it says Bronco Killer Lake. Deep water. And it looks like it was never there. It's been fixed. These four-wheel drive clubs, Southern Four-Wheel Drive, this Ohio River four-wheelers, and several others actually pay to maintain these trails. So support your local four-wheelers. And we just continue on along, enjoy the trail. I'll bring my wife back through here sometime, let her take pictures when we go by herself, and just take a leisurely drive about it. That's something you could do on the weekend, not so much. It gets busier and busier with a lot more people on the trail. But if you're up there during the week, you know, the middle of the week, there'll be a lot less people there, and you could probably take your time a little better. Or maybe just pull off and let people go by you. We probably don't have a whole lot left on this trail. We're going to turn here eventually as we get closer to what looks like civilization. Looks like we're coming to it now. And we're going to turn down and make a right to continue on Fixer-Leeco. I think we've already been on Fixer-Leeco, but sometimes on the maps, the designations move around. And it looks like they fixed something down here because of the crossover this culvert. It looks fairly fresh. Again, I did do this back in November, but I lost the footage somehow, and it was almost as good then. So it's held up pretty well. And the rest of the way out of here is pretty smooth. This is a little area I believe is called Peaceful Valley Resort. There's some places for some, looks like some campers that have camp spots, and I've seen some side-by-sides down in there, even on this trip, but I don't know if you can see them on the cameras now. When we get to the other end, when you look out the back, if you're seeing this on a big screen, you can probably see the Peaceful Valley Resort sign from the rear view camera. I'll try to point that out. I think it says so in the captions as well. Again, this is something you could enjoy, even on your own, to get out and just leisurely take a nice ride. And as we weave in and out of the area, you'll see we follow along the creek, which has been there most of the time. Pretty soon the area will be coming to life with new color when the spring gets here. There's always been a little bit of signs of life. Not much. It's still fairly cold down in these low areas. There is wildlife down here, but many vehicles we have around, you're probably not going to see any. Occasionally see a blue heron, might see deer. Again, notice how smooth it is. The actual smoothness shows up the most by watching the hood. Image stabilization kind of makes the camera look smooth, but if you watch the hood, you can tell if it really is smooth or if it's dancing around. When we came through that spot earlier, you can see the hood moving around. About the only thing I cut out of this is places where we stopped. Again, I wanted you to see the whole trail. Yes, it may be a little boring. Next time, if you've already watched this video, maybe I'll shorten it up if there are things of note to see. And we're coming up to the end. Here we go. Exit onto the Larson Road. If you look in the rearview mirror, you can see that sign on that pole that says Peaceful Valley Resort. And this is along Fixer Road. Now we're back out to Highway 11. We're going to make a right. You can GPS it and get here, and we're going to make a short stint. We're going to turn left onto 3330 Schumacher Ridge Road and head to Hell Creek. If you've seen my Hell Creek video, that's the way I went. And here we are showing, after about 3.5 miles, we're going to enter on the other end. There's an MFRP sign, which means Miller's Fort Recreational Park. It's a climbing area. The other end actually has a BBBB sign. They smoothed this out since I've been on here the last time. I saw where some of the rock climber folks were complaining because they drive their daily driver cars down here and they were having a little more trouble than we do. So Hell Creek is a good ride. I have heard that the water has gotten high a couple of times. I have not experienced that. I've only been through here when the water is 6 or 8 inches deep. We're going to take a quick stop here at some point and socialize for a minute. If anybody was with us, you see yourself, feel free to say something, comment. I shortened this and sped it up just for interest's sake. That's me on the left. Need to look at my winch. That's my neighbor right dead in front of him with glasses on his face now. The guy on the left's a member of the club. And we're just socializing, having a good time. And we're going to jump back in and take off. Here we go. Again, this is another very easy ride. You can do your own. This little hill here was a little rougher before. It looks like it's been smoothed out. I did cut quite a bit out of this one because I have another full video for Hell Creek. It's a very short ride. You could probably do it yourself in 10 or 15 minutes. There's several water crossings. And here's the bottom of the hill here is the MFRP I was telling you about. We don't want to go that way because they don't care about rock climbing, but just to point out, that's where you turn to get to the rock climbing area. That's part of the Red River Gorge Climbing Coalition. And good old water crossing. And another water crossing. This looks like a wider spot. It could probably have more water at some point. And a nice rock formation. And we're getting close to being out of here. Hope you've enjoyed the video. If you do, come back and watch more. Tell your friends. If you need me to do something different, ask me. We're going to come up on a spot here in a minute where a washout is beginning. Again, you have to pay attention to these places. You'll see it right here. This could be a problem at some point. It could possibly be impassable at some point, so you need to be aware of these things. Not a lot of room here to turn around. And we're getting up here close to the end now. You'll see the sign. It has its back to us. That's the sign that marks the Hill Creek entrance from this end. This exits on Tip Top Road. I hope everybody's enjoyed the video, and I hope you come back, and thanks for watching.